Co-founder at the Rock Initiative and Superworlds, director at Startup Labs, a seed-stage venture capital fund based in San Francisco, which invests in emerging markets around the world. He's also a mentor at TechPeaks, an information technology accelerator based in Trento, Italy, and Minsk Accelerator, Belarus. Please welcome with your applause, Hrish Lotlikar. The floor is yours.
Hey, guys. Thank you so much for having me here again. It's always a pleasure to be in Minsk. I love this country, and I love what you have all done in this room over the past years to build the ecosystem and how you continue to build amazing tech companies. So it's a pleasure to be here, and thank you again. I'm honored today to speak about an industry which I'm very in love with, virtual reality and augmented reality, and to talk about how it's transforming industry, business, and entertainment. So we're going to go through different aspects of the industry and the technology and better understand the transformative effects it's having on our lives. So first, let me just give you some context on myself. My background has ranged from management consulting to investment banking to venture capital in New York to venture capital in Eastern Europe. I was one of the founders of East Labs, which is an accelerator based in Kyiv, as well as I was early on the team at TopTal. TopTal's a unicorn company now based out of San Francisco and Palo Alto, providing elite software engineers and now designers and financial talent to companies all over the world. And I was in a business development role there globally and helped grow that company and really had a great time and learned a lot. And went on to go ahead and found the Rogue Initiative, which is a Hollywood film, TV, and virtual reality studio and a gaming studio based in Los Angeles. My partners there are Michael Bay, the action director known for Transformers, The Island, Armageddon, Pearl Harbor, big action movies. And my other partner is Linda Obst, who's known for Interstellar and Contact, so big science fiction movies. And my co-founder produced a game, an interactive game called Call of Duty, which most of you probably know and have played. So what we do is we create content in virtual reality, and then we take it across mediums, from film, television, location-based entertainment, all the way to merchandising. My other company, which is a newer company, is a social augmented reality company on iPhone called Superworld. Superworld is your world in augmented reality. Feel free to go onto Superworld, download it, and you can create your own world and show other people your world, and people can see your world, and brands can create their own worlds in Superworld. So we'll talk about that a little bit as we go into this presentation. So what is VR, AR, and MR? Before I start and go into definitions, who here has tried VR? With the quick raise your hands, who's tried it? And who's tried it on I'd say what's called a tethered headset? So who's tried it on like Oculus or HTC Vive? Okay. So, you can see that there is quite a bit of people in this room who've tried it, and that's understandable. This is a tech crowd. But most of the population, most of your friends in general, I'm sure have not tried it. And that kind of goes to show you kind of where we are in the industry. We're still gaining critical mass. So those who've tried VR understand, what is VR, and if you've tried Oculus and HTC, you know how real that is. And the feeling you get when you try VR and you experience it and you feel the emotion that goes through you and the engagement with the content you're viewing, that is what's called presence. What's AR and VR, and what's the difference? So VR, for those of you guys don't know and who haven't tried it, it's when you put on a headset and you do not see the real world. You see a virtual world, and you're in that virtual world. And if you're doing interactive VR, it means that you're interacting in that virtual world. So what's AR? AR is when you put on a headset or glasses or you looking through your mobile phone and you are seeing data and information and objects on the real world around you. So there's something called the virtuality continuum, and that's what's back there. So there's on one side it's the real world, and on the other side it's completely virtual. And on that continuum is when you go through AR and VR, and in the middle there is what's called MR. And what's MR? People get confused about MR and XR. So MR is really when these virtual objects or these augmented objects and augmented information that's put on your real world, those objects are now able to interact with the real world. And in some cases, it's hard to tell whether those are augmented or they're real. And maybe they're real with augmented objects mixed in within them. So you get kind of this mix between the real world, the virtual world, and augmented information, so MR. And all of this is really defined now as immersive computing and contextual computing, which we'll get into. So this is a video. I think the sound needs to go up, but there's some music in the background. But it's a video of a guy riding. Yeah.
Sto libre de mi ira. Sto libre de mi tristeza. Y el amor es mi experiencia.
So that's hyper reality. Okay, that's actually a video you can download, check out on YouTube. Google hyper reality. But is that our future? I mean, you're walking, you're going on a bus, and you're walking by someone, you're seeing who they are, you're seeing a sign, you're playing a video game at the same time, you're getting off the bus, you're able to get some discounts at a store right next to you. Well, you know what? That is where the world is going with AR and VR and MR. And there's a term, which is virtual graffiti or augmented, pollution. And these terms are real because these objects and information that we're putting into our real world environments, if left without control, they can kind of create a situation where we're exposed to too much information and we're exposed to advertising everywhere we go. And so these are things that we think about. As we create VR and AR and thinking about this medium, there's a lot of questions. What is real? What isn't real? Should we create objects that are so real that a user has no idea whether they're real or not real? Is it our responsibility to show people that difference? Is our responsibility also to make sure humans and the people, the viewers, are not emotionally affected by some of the information or images or videos or experiences that they feel when they're in AR and VR? If you've seen a VR horror movie, you can be very visceral, just how real that kind of stuff can feel and when you try it. So these are all things that in the VR world and the AR world on the developer side that we have to think about. Besides just the standard things about dizziness and shakiness of the camera and those kinds of things. So it's very interesting what's being done in terms of the development world, but also how we are thinking about it in a humanistic sense and the importance of that. So let me start by just talking about how VR and AR is being used in business. And in this example, this is a branding and marketing example. And I bring it up because it was a pretty successful example of how Etihad Airways utilized VR in the real world and used a VR short film that they created with Academy Award-winning actress Nicole Kidman called Reimagine. And they allowed their customers to see what a ride would be like on an A380 from Abu Dhabi to New York. And as a company like Etihad and other companies like Audi, like Mercedes, you name them, they've realized that to be able to engage with their audiences and their customers, they have to use new mediums. And so VR has been that new outlet for them. So in this case, this short film, which was very high-level production, involving one of the most superstar blockbuster actresses, was their way to separate themselves from the crowd. And you're going to be seeing more of that. You see that in Tesla showrooms now, where you can go and check out a Tesla, or you can go and check out an Audi. And you're seeing that all across industry. But branding and marketing is one of those areas where VR and AR have really revolutionized marketing. They found that VR and AR marketing is 3 times more effective than a traditional radio or television ad. So it provides that much more engagement. Another example, and I'm sure you may have seen this or heard about it or tried it. It's pretty cool. So a lot of furniture stores like IKEA, like Pottery Barn, like Willow, Zillow, Wayfair are using augmented reality to allow you to try things on, try things in your location, in your environment, whatever it happens to be, right? So you can go and check out a piece of furniture in your house before you go to the store and buy it. You can check it out right in your living room, and you can see what that furniture would look like. You can pick out colors. You can, be able to really kind of visualize your environment around you in AR before you make that purchase. And so this is something that's still being developed in terms of the technology and the sizing and the utilization of technologies like ARKit by Apple and AR Core, which is on Android, to get those things exactly right and fitting perfectly. But it is allowing consumers already to be able to make those decisions and to be able to interact with those brands like IKEA in this example. So here's another example that they're using in the beauty industry. So this is the Sephora app. Actually, one of my team members at Superworld helped design this app, so we're lucky to have her on the team. But she, was very integral in this, and what's very interesting about this app is, again, it allows you to try things on your face. And so, we've all seen the face filters like the famous company Masquerade out of Minsk has created. And so this is kind of taking that and allowing you to put makeup on your face and to be able to, decide what colors that look good on you, to be able to look at things that maybe you would be afraid to try in real life, just to see what a look would be like and change your look and to experiment in augmented reality before you actually have to go to a store even and look at these items. And so it really is I think going to revolutionize the beauty industry and the fashion industry, and you see that as well in clothes and being able to go to a virtual dressing room. So let's go into education. So if you've seen interactive books, those are now exploding. So now books are not just 2D books. Almost every book can utilize markers and show you augmented reality or even virtual objects, holograms, as you flip through. And so students can get an idea of what they're looking at in a three-dimensional space and go around and look at something and really get a sense for the history or the science or the dynamics of a chemistry class when they're looking at a molecule, for example, or in this case, looking at a dinosaur and really getting a sense for the size and the animal itself. So interactive books is a start for education, but it's just the start. VR in museums is also very big. This is an example of a Berlin Wall exhibit in partnership with HTC. But what's interesting is, if you think about it, you might not even have to go to a museum if you have VR. You can be in a museum anytime you want. So going into VR, you can visit any museum, and they can, provide content that you can try from home. And so you can see these historical spaces in your home. Or you can go into an environment and see what that environment looked like 100 years ago, 150 years ago in AR. So you can be in a real-world location and utilize augmented reality on your phone at this point, but in the future in your glasses, and look around and be in the live location, seeing history, and that's called AR time travel, and that's also a reality, and it's very exciting. And so education's another aspect of that in museums. Now I love this. This is a concept called digital Aristotle, and it's just an educational concept. So what's problem in education is, you go to a classroom and someone lectures to you, and usually that lecturer is talking to one person, because usually there's only one or two people that are on that same exact level of teaching that the teacher is teaching on, meaning some students are ahead, so they already know the concepts. And then there's other students that might be slightly behind. And so they're still trying to learn and catch up to where the teacher is. So the concept of digital Aristotle is you can have your own virtual or augmented reality teacher that is on your pace. And so every student in a headset will have their own teacher that's teaching them at their own pace, and they're able to learn and be right on pace with the material that's being taught. And so this is a very interesting concept, and I think it's going to revolutionize education. And more so, you're getting the best teacher in the world. So you don't have to be local. You're able to really tap the best that education has to offer globally, and you're able to interact with that teacher. And so there's, obviously AI, VR, and AR, all of that combined, and that is going to revolutionize education. This is an example of training. So Boeing is utilizing AR to help train their employees. And frankly, many companies are doing this. This is an example of Boeing showing their employees how to put together an engine on a plane. And the engineers that utilized AR were able to do their job 30% faster and more accurately than engineers that utilize just 2D drawings and books. So they're seeing huge cost savings in their production. They're seeing efficiencies. They're seeing higher levels of quality. So it's really transforming their whole production process. So manufacturing is definitely utilizing AR and VR, and you're going to see that explode. Another example, which is big, is VR and AR in medicine. So your doctors can do the procedure before they actually have to do it in real life. They can understand what's going on in your body and visualize it in a real-world environment before they actually have to practice. And so that's huge, because you'd like your doctor to be able to have that experience on you maybe before they actually do it, so then you feel a little bit more confident that they're going to, do the procedure properly. There's also a lot of education in that, so students can be involved in practicing medicine without actually having to go through a real-world case. You can watch the best doctors in the world in a real environment right in front of you, practicing and doing procedures. So when you're studying, you can be with the best in the world and see all types of experience. Because in medicine, really being able to see and experience different medical cases is what separates a young doctor from an experienced doctor. So medicine is also a huge area of innovation in VR and AR. Dentistry. So wouldn't it be great to go in and check out what your teeth will look like on your teeth before they actually do the procedure, or if you're getting orthodontistry work, or you're getting just even a teeth whitening. All these things are pretty simple, but AR and VR are involved in that too. And then finally, I'll go to gaming and entertainment. So I'm in this industry, and I think the theme here is we're going from something called storytelling, which we always think about, to story living. So you're in the story. So as producers and directors, we have to think about how do we tell the story in a different way, because you are in the story and you can interact in the story, and the story can change because you make certain decisions. So that's what we're doing in entertainment. So what's the future? The future is where VR and AR are all around us, and we don't even think about it anymore. We don't even talk about it almost as a subject, because it is when there is no hardware, there is no phones, there's just the ability to see this information and live it, and that world, that contextual, immersive world, lives for us and helps us live our lives better. Thank you. Большое спасибо.
Thank you very much, Hrish. Thank you. It was super fantastic. All right, so we have a question to you also, so please, just 1 second. And I remember you that you may say, of course, send your questions to the chat with the organizers. So, Hrish, why have you chosen iPhone as a platform to your project?
Yeah, it's a great question. There's 1.3 billion devices that are going to utilize AR Core and AR Kit by the end of 2019, about 700 million this year. About 400 million of those are iPhones this year, and 300 million are Android, but Android's going to take over in the next year. As we think about the American market, iPhone is a great place to launch. I think we're thinking about launching on Android very soon, but we've just found that with iPhone and ARKit came out first. We're able to go to market a little bit faster and innovate, but we're going to be on Android very soon. We just want to make sure that everything is where we want it to be on iPhone, and then start building on Android. But we've already actually started building on Android, and then to that fact, there's also HoloLens, Magic Leap, the other MR devices. So in Superworld, we want to create a world, and then have that world accessible across all devices. So it's very important. So it's a good question.
Okay, thank you for your question. Thank you, Hrish. Please applause to Hrish. Thank you very much for your